When a woman realizes she has lost you, an entire world inside her shifts. At first, she may stand strong, convinced she can move forward without looking back, but slowly the weight of absence begins to echo in her heart. She remembers the warmth of your presence, the way your voice once gave her comfort, the small moments of laughter that seemed so ordinary but meant everything. It is in the silence, after a busy day, in the loneliness of a crowded room, that she begins to feel the sharp edge of regret. The truth settles in. Love was never about pride, never about winning an argument, but about cherishing a bond that few are lucky enough to find. When the realization dawns, her strength may falter, and tears may fall not just for what she lost, but for what she failed to protect. Yet this is also the moment of awakening. Pain is a stern teacher, and from it comes growth. She learns that love requires more than fleeting passion. It demands effort, understanding, and sacrifice. The emptiness she feels will push her to reflect on choices made, words left unsaid, and emotions buried too deep. But even in loss there is hope. The ache in her soul becomes the fire that reshapes her spirit. She will rise, not to erase the memory of what was, but to carry its lesson forward. The loss of you becomes the turning point where she vows never again to take for granted the heart of someone who truly matters. She may have lost you, but in that loss she discovers the power to become wiser, stronger, and more compassionate than before. Realization of loss. A woman gradually recognizes the depth of absence and the emotional void left behind. Emotional reflection. She recalls the warmth, comfort, and everyday moments that once held great meaning. Regret and awakening. The pain of losing love awakens her to the mistakes of pride, neglect, or unspoken feelings. Growth. Through pain, heartbreak becomes a teacher, showing that love requires effort, sacrifice, and understanding. Transformation. The sorrow turns into a source of strength, pushing her towards self-improvement and maturity. Hope for the future. Even in loss, she carries lessons forward, vowing not to take love for granted again. The first stage of realizing a loss is never sudden. It seeps in slowly, almost unnoticed, until it becomes impossible to ignore. When a woman loses someone who truly mattered to her, she might not immediately grasp the depth of the void left behind. At first, she may distract herself with routine, work, or social connections, believing she can move forward without faltering. Yet as days pass, small reminders, like a familiar place, a certain song, or even silence at night, begin to awaken emotions she thought she had under control. This realization is powerful because it strikes at unexpected moments. She may sit among friends, laughing, yet feel a hollow emptiness inside. She may find herself reaching for the phone, about to share something, only to stop midway when she remembers there is no one on the other end anymore. That pause, that sudden wave of emptiness, is when she truly understands what has been lost. The recognition of absence is not just about missing the person, but about missing the comfort, the understanding, and the sense of belonging they brought into her life. It is in these quiet moments that regret begins to stir. She sees the value of what she once had, and realizes that love was never about having someone by her side, but about cherishing the connection deeply enough to protect it. This awareness can be painful, even overwhelming, but it is also the first step toward personal growth. Only when she fully accepts the reality of loss does she begin to reflect on what went wrong and how it shaped her journey. Realization, though painful, is the spark that begins the process of transformation, for it awakens the truth that absence is sometimes the greatest teacher of love's worth. When the initial shock of loss settles, what follows is a wave of emotional reflection. A woman begins to revisit memories, not as passing thoughts, but as vivid experiences that resurface with unexpected intensity. She recalls the little things that once felt ordinary but now feel priceless, the way laughter filled a room, the comfort of a reassuring voice, or the warmth of a simple gesture. These recollections become bittersweet reminders, carrying both joy and sorrow, for they highlight not only what was shared, but also what can never return in the same way. Reflection often brings clarity. In those quiet moments of thought, she begins to see the depth of the bond that existed, a bond she may not have fully acknowledged while it was alive and present. Each memory becomes a mirror, showing her how much she valued the connection and how much it shaped her sense of belonging. It is not only the major milestones that stand out, but also the overlooked details, the small conversations, the inside jokes, the comfort of knowing someone truly understood her. This stage of reflection can be deeply emotional because it blurs the line between gratitude and regret. Gratitude for having experienced something meaningful, and regret for not always treasuring it as much as it deserved. Through this process, her heart quietly acknowledges that love is not measured by grand gestures alone, but by the countless little moments that create a tapestry of shared life. Such reflection is painful, yet it holds within it a hidden strength. By revisiting the past with honesty, she learns to see love differently, not as something to be assumed, but as something to be valued with presence and care. This emotional awareness prepares her to move forward with a deeper understanding of what truly matters. Regret is one of the heaviest feelings that emerges when a woman realizes she has lost someone who mattered deep. It begins subtly, through questions that echo in her mind. What if she had spoken more gently? What if she had shown more appreciation? What if she had listened with more patience? These thoughts can feel endless, replaying scenarios where things might have turned out differently if only she had acted with more understanding or less pride. The awakening comes from recognizing that love is fragile, not something to be taken for granted, and once broken, it may never return the same way. This regret is not only about losing a person, but also about losing the chance to give the relationship the care it deserves. She may think of words left unsaid, apologies never voiced, or affection withheld at times when it was most needed. In those realizations, the truth becomes clear. Relationships do not crumble overnight. They fade when effort and attention are missed. The awakening is often painful because it shows her that she had a role in what was lost, and accepting this responsibility is both humbling and transforming. Yet within this regret lies the seed of growth. The awareness that mistakes were made becomes a powerful lesson, reminding her that love requires constant nurturing. Awakening is the point where pain turns into insight, where she learns that silence can wound, pride can distance, and neglect can slowly erode even the strongest bond. Though she cannot undo the past, she can choose to carry its lessons forward. In this way, regret becomes more than sorrow. It becomes the force that awakens her to the importance of cherishing love fully before it slips away. Pain, though unwelcome, often becomes the most powerful teacher. When a woman experiences the deep ache of losing someone she once held close, she begins to see that heartbreak is not only an ending but also a beginning of growth. The pain forces her to stop and reflect, to confront the truth of her emotions, and to accept that love cannot survive on passion alone. It requires effort, understanding, and selflessness. Through this realization, she begins to reshape her perspective on what love truly demands. Growth through pain happens quietly, often in moments when she feels weakest. The tears that once seemed to break her eventually cleanse her heart of denial. The loneliness that seems unbearable at first slowly transforms into strength, teaching her to stand independently. Every pang of regret becomes a reminder of how easily love can slip away when it is not nurtured, and this reminder fuels her determination not to repeat the same mistakes again. This growth is not about forgetting the loss, but about allowing the pain to refine her. Instead of drowning in sorrow, she learns to rise from it. She discovers patience where there was once impatience, compassion where there was once neglect, and humility where there was once pride. These qualities, born from suffering, become the foundation for a wiser and stronger version of herself. The journey is difficult, but the transformation it brings is invaluable. Heartbreak teaches her that love is not just about receiving, but about giving wholeheartedly. By enduring pain, she emerges with a deeper understanding of relationships and of herself. What once felt like pure loss becomes the very force that prepares her for a future filled with greater resilience and emotional strength. Transformation is the stage where pain begins to shift into strength, and sorrow slowly molds a woman into a renewed version of herself. After the storm of regret and reflection, she starts to realize that the experience of loss does not have to define her only in terms of grief. It can also define her in terms of growth. This transformation is not immediate. It takes time, patience, and the willingness to confront her vulnerabilities. Yet gradually, the broken pieces of her heart are rearranged into a stronger, more resilient self. She begins to recognize that the emptiness she once feared has, in fact, given her room to rebuild. The silence that once felt unbearable becomes a space where she can hear her own voice more clearly. The tears that seemed endless transform into lessons, each one shaping her perspective on love, trust, and self-worth. In this way, loss becomes the very foundation upon which she reconstructs her strength. Transformation also means embracing a new mindset. Instead of clinging to the past, she learns to use its lessons to guide her future. Where there was once pride, she now chooses humility. Where there was carelessness, she now understands the value of attention. Where there was fear of vulnerability, she now sees the beauty in honesty. Every hardship endured turns into wisdom, making her not only stronger, but also softer and more compassionate toward others. This stage marks a powerful turning point. She no longer views herself as someone defined by what she lost, but as someone who has been shaped by the experience into a better version of who she is meant to be. Transformation is the proof that even in the ashes of heartbreak, a stronger spirit can rise. Hope for the future is the final stage that emerges after a woman has walked through the depths of loss, reflection, regret, and transformation. It is the moment when she realizes that even though she cannot change the past, she can shape what lies ahead. This hope does not come suddenly. It grows quietly, like a small light in the darkness, reminding her that love, happiness, and peace are still possible. The pain of losing someone important becomes a guiding force, teaching her to value relationships more deeply and to never take genuine connection for granted again. With hope comes renewal. She begins to see her life not as something broken beyond repair, but as a story still being written. The memories of what was lost remain, but instead of holding her back, they inspire her to move forward with more wisdom. Hope gives her the courage to open her heart again, not in the same way as before, but with greater understanding and compassion. She learns that every ending can carry the seeds of a new beginning, and every wound can eventually heal into strength. Hope also fuels resilience. Even on difficult days when sadness lingers, she knows the future holds opportunities for joy, growth, and love. The lessons carved into her heart by loss remind her to nurture what truly matters, and to approach love, not with fear but with gratitude. In embracing hope, she chooses not to let the loss define her, but instead to let it refine her. She carries forward the lessons of her past into a future that she now faces with courage, optimism, and faith. Hope is her reminder that even after losing you, life still holds meaning, and her heart still holds the capacity to love again.